At my sister's wedding, I was given only a piece of bread, so I played a video during. My speech, stay with me till the end of my story, and please subscribe our channel. Your support means a world to us. The laughter around me sounded rehearsed, like lines from a play I was never meant to be part of. Crystal glasses clinked, silver spoons scraped porcelain plates, and the scent of roasted chicken drifted across the ballroom. Every table shimmered under soft gold light, and for a moment, I almost believed I could disappear into it all. Almost. Then the waiter stopped in front of me, a slice of bread. Just one on a spotless white plate. I blinked, thinking maybe it was a mistake. But he smiled politely, whispered, "This is for you, miss," and walked away. The bread was stale. Cold, like it had been waiting just for me. Around me, everyone feasted. Steak, salmon, desserts stacked like towers. And there I was. The bride's sister, sitting in a silk dress she'd picked out for me, served a single piece of bread. I felt a laugh building in my chest, the kind that hurts more than it releases. If anyone looked my way, they'd see a calm face, smiling faintly, hands folded. But inside, I was burning. I'd spent my whole life in my sister's shadow. She was the kind of person who could walk into a room and make it hers before saying a word. The golden one, the favorite. And I was the other one, the nice sister. The one who always helped, always forgave, always made excuses for everyone else's cruelty. I didn't realize how much that habit cost me until that moment. Because as everyone cheered for her perfect wedding, I remembered every small cut that brought me here. The times she'd borrowed my clothes, stained them, and laughed it off. The birthday she forgot because she was too busy planning her own. The day I told her I'd been accepted into a graduate program, and she replied, "That's cute." All those little humiliations, they add up. Like raindrops filling a glass. And eventually, it spills. A voice echoed through the microphone, "Please welcome the bride's beautiful sister." I wasn't ready for that, but apparently my sister had decided I should give a speech. She hadn't told me beforehand, of course, because that's what she did. Throw me into things just to watch me scramble. The guests turned toward me, smiling, expecting sweetness, humor, maybe a few tears. And I stood up slowly, adjusting my dress, my heart steady. I caught my sister's gaze from across the room. She looked stunning, radiant even, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. It never did. I walked toward the microphone. Every step sounded louder than the music. Click, click, click. They thought I'd tremble. They thought I'd mumble something emotional, make her look good, sit back down, and fade into the background again. But what they didn't know was that I already knew everything. Everything she'd said about me. Everything she'd done behind closed doors. Everything she thought would stay hidden forever. I took a slow breath, my voice calm but steady. "You know," I began. "When I was little, I thought weddings were about love." A soft laugh rippled through the crowd. They thought it was the start of a cute speech. I smiled too, but not for the same reason. But I've learned that sometimes weddings are about performance. About pretending everything is perfect. About feeding people lies, one piece at a time. There were murmurs now. I could feel eyes darting between me and her. My sister's smile froze. I glanced at my plate, the one with the bread still untouched, and felt a strange calm wash over me. "I wasn't planning to say much tonight," I continued. "But since I've been given this opportunity, maybe it's time I finally tell the truth." The room went silent. Even the music stopped. And for the first time in my life, every single person was actually listening to me. But I didn't rush. I looked at my sister again, her hand gripping her husband's arm, her eyes pleading. She shook her head slightly, the tiniest movement. But I caught it, too late. Because if she'd wanted mercy, she shouldn't have handed me a microphone. And she definitely shouldn't have left her phone unlocked. 2 weeks ago, the clinking of glasses faded as the MC's voice floated through the speakers, and now, a few words from the bride's sister. I stood. My knees didn't shake this time. Maybe because I'd already lived through every kind of tremor they could cause me. The lights from the chandeliers shimmered off the silverware, tiny suns glaring down on the only person in the room still half-starved, me. One dry piece of bread on my plate, mocking me like a period at the end of a sentence I never got to finish. I smiled anyway. The kind that hurts your cheeks but hides your pulse. "Good evening, everyone." My voice carried farther than I expected. A few heads turned. Most barely looked up from their champagne. For those who don't know me, which judging by the seating chart is probably everyone, I'm Lena, the bride's sister. Soft laughter. The polite kind that means hurry up. I breathed once, slow. You know, growing up, my sister was always the creative one. At least that's what our parents told everyone. She painted, she designed, she dreamed. And I just watched. My sister's smile twitched, but she lifted her glass, pretending calm. What most of you don't know, I continued, is that we used to share a tiny desk. Half covered in her sketches, half in mine. Only one of us got credit for both halves. A few murmurs. The groom leaned forward slightly. I never minded, I said, turning to the guests. Because that's what sisters do, right? We share, we help each other grow. And when I got into the design program, I thought we'd finally celebrate together. I paused, letting the next line settle like dust. But then I noticed something familiar online, one of my projects. Only this time, my name was missing, replaced by hers. A ripple ran through the tables. Fork stopped midair. I didn't look at her yet. She told me it was a misunderstanding, that her boss had accidentally uploaded the wrong file. So I stayed quiet. I stayed loyal. I even helped her build the portfolio that got her the job she brags about. The job that paid for tonight's fairy tale wedding. Now I looked at her. Really looked. Her knuckles were white around her bouquet. And when I asked why my files were still on her website last month, I said, lowering my voice, she laughed and said, "You wouldn't have used them anyway." A murmur swept the room. Confusion. Curiosity. A few gasps. I thought about keeping quiet again. But then the seating chart said otherwise. More laughter this time. Uneasy but real. So, I brought something short to show you all, I said. It's not a slideshow or a home video. Just a clip from an interview she gave last week about her artistry. The screen behind me flickered to life. The lights dimmed. On screen, my sister appeared on a local magazine talk show. Smiling, polished. "These designs represent my journey," she said, flipping through sketches, my sketches. Even the tiny initials in the corner. LR blurred but visible. Someone in the crowd whispered, "That's not her handwriting." The host asked, "So you created these from scratch?" "Every line," she answered proudly. A hush fell over the room. The groom turned toward her. She stared at the screen, frozen. I stopped the video. Silence. The kind that vibrates inside your ribs. "I spent years wondering if I mattered," I said softly. "Tonight I realized I do, because without me, there wouldn't be a single piece hanging in her office or a logo on those invitations, or maybe even a wedding theme at all." I smiled again, smaller this time. "Congratulations, sis. You really did make something beautiful out of my work," gasps, a chair scraped. The MC fumbled for the mic. I handed it back before he could speak. "Enjoy the rest of your evening," I said, and walked off the stage. Behind me, the hall erupted. Questions, whispers, someone shouting, "Is that true?" But I didn't turn around. The door opened and cool night air met me like applause no one could take away. Outside, I exhaled. My phone buzzed, a notification from the venue's live stream page. Comments were already pouring in. Justice served. That's how you reclaim your name. I looked up at the sky. Stars scattered like white confetti, and for the first time in years, I felt full. Morning sunlight slid across my small apartment like an apology. The phone wouldn't stop buzzing. At first, I thought it was alarm snooze, until the notification stacked faster than I could swipe. "Is this your sister's wedding video?" "You're trending on Reels." "Girl, justice served." The venue livestream had gone viral overnight. Someone clipped my speech. The headline read, "Designer confronts sister who stole her work," in front of 200 guests. I opened the comments cautiously, expecting cruelty. Instead, I saw waves of people cheering. That's how you stand up for yourself. She didn't ruin the wedding. She reclaimed her name. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. By noon, a journalist messaged me asking for a statement. A small design studio reposted my old sketches with the caption, "Credit where it's due." Another notification, portfolio views, $12,000, $88,000. My sister hadn't called. My parents hadn't either. Only Aunt May texted, "You were brave. Let the truth breathe before you do anything else." So I went for a walk. The city felt different. Same streets, but lighter. People were still scrolling, still talking, yet I finally belonged to my own story. A barista recognized me halfway through ordering coffee. "You're that designer from the video, right?" "The speech?" I nodded, embarrassed. She smiled. It was beautiful. Not angry, just honest. My sister needed to hear that. She slipped me a free croissant. For courage. That evening, I opened an email with the subject line, "Collaboration Opportunity." It was from a sustainable fashion brand in Nairobi. They'd seen the clip. "We'd love to feature your original concepts in our next campaign." I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Another ping. A message request from my sister. "You destroyed everything. No apology, just blame." I typed and deleted a dozen replies before settling on one sentence. "Truth only hurts when it's real." I hit send, then muted the thread. 2 weeks later, a parcel arrived. A heavy envelope stamped with the logo of the company that had once rejected my job application. Inside was a note, "We owe you an apology. We reviewed both portfolios. Yours was the original. If you're still interested, we'd love to meet." For a second, I couldn't move. Then I laughed, quietly, disbelievingly. The kind of laugh that shakes the dust off old dreams. I set the letter on my desk beside my sketchbook. The same one I'd shared years ago, half covered in her notes, half in mine. Now the pages were clean, waiting. That night, I uploaded my first video, not about her, not about the wedding. Just me drawing. No voiceover, only pencil against paper and soft music. Caption, "Starting again, this time in my own name." The comments flooded in within minutes. "We've been waiting for this. Your art has soul. Do more behind the scenes." The algorithm didn't matter anymore. But still, I smiled watching the views rise. A month later, I stood at an art fair surrounded by my own work. No shadows, no stolen lines. A little girl pointed to one of my prints. "Did you really design this?" "Yes," I said. She grinned. "Then maybe I can too." I handed her a free copy. "Promise me one thing, always sign your name." She nodded solemnly and ran off. The crowd noise faded. The evening sun washed the booth's gold. Somewhere, music drifted. Someone else's wedding, maybe? But the air felt clean, unborrowed. I took a slow breath. No bitterness, just clarity. The story had burned through every corner of my life and left light behind. I whispered, more to myself than anyone, not revenge, redemption. And then, as the camera of imagination pulled back, the kind of ending shot that makes viewers hold their breath, I walked into the sunset, sketchbook under my arm, the city glowing like a blank page waiting for the next line. 6 months later, my name was printed on the invitation. This time, spelled right. Lena Rivers, Designing Truth. A 1-hour feature on the very same network that had once aired my sister's stolen interview. The producer's email still made my pulse jump. "We'd love to talk about your viral moment and what honesty means in art." I almost said no. Then I remembered Aunt May's words. Let the truth breathe before you do anything else. It had. Now it was time to let it speak. The studio lights felt warmer than I remembered. The host smiled nervously. He'd been there during my sister's segment months ago. "Welcome back," he said. "I think the world's been waiting to hear from you." I smiled. "I think the truth already spoke for me. I'm just here to design the next chapter." The crew chuckled. The tension eased. They rolled clips of my new work. Textiles stitched with phrases like "integrity is art" and "credit every hand." Behind the camera, I caught a flicker of movement. My sister standing quietly beside a producer. She wasn't scheduled to appear, just watching. I took a breath. The old ache pressed against my ribs, but it didn't control me anymore. The host leaned forward. "So, Lena, if you could say one thing to anyone afraid to stand up for themselves, what would it be?" I looked straight into the lens. Silence protects the lie, not the heart. The moment you tell the truth, even trembling, you start creating again. The studio went still. The director whispered, "Cut." Then applause. Real, unprompted, the kind that hums in your chest. Later, backstage, my sister approached. Her makeup was perfect. Her eyes not so much. "I didn't come to fight," she said. "I just wanted to see how you'd do it." How I'd do what? Stand there without hating me. I thought about all the nights I'd rehearsed this conversation, every version that ended in shouting. Instead, I said, "Because hate's another kind of silence." She looked down. "I'm sorry, Lena. For a heartbeat, the world stopped spinning." I didn't answer right away. Forgiveness isn't a sentence, it's a decision. Finally, I said, then start giving credit. Everywhere it's due, she nodded, tears smudging her eyeliner. I will. Outside the studio, the streetlights glowed like stage lights. A small crowd had gathered. Students, artists, people who'd followed the story since the wedding. One girl handed me a folded sketch. You inspired me to sign my name, I smiled. Keep signing it. Someone started chanting softly, designing truth, designing truth. It spread like rhythm, echoing off glass and steel until the whole block pulsed with it. I raised my hand, laughing. All right, now go design your own truths. The cameras caught that moment. The laughter, the crowd, the night wind catching my sketches. It became the thumbnail shot that would circle the internet for weeks. Later, alone on the rooftop of my apartment, city lights blinking below, I opened my sketchbook. A new page, clean, unborrowed. I wrote in the corner, "Rebirth isn't revenge, it's redesign." The wind turned the page. Somewhere down the street, a TV replayed my interview. This time, my name wasn't missing. I closed the book and whispered, "That's enough." Fade out.